This is not why the transfer portal was implemented, and you got these players just straight up finessing the system because they have found this insane loophole. I don't know why nobody else is talking about this, but I got to because I don't like it. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hope I'll be having a great Tuesday. If not, hope this video can make it a little bit better. Man, oh man, we got to talk about what is currently one of the most interesting situations in all college football. And it goes back to an argument I've been preaching on this channel the past couple of weeks. You really can't hate the players in this situation. It's more so of you got to hate the game, and the game is the NCAA. They're the ones who implemented these rules, so if you want to be mad at anyone, be mad at them. However, these players are taking advantage of it. It's really a double-edged sword, and it's getting to the point where everyone's like, yeah, what in the world is this game turned into? And don't get it twisted. College football, the viewership is at an all-time high, and I feel like the sport, it only gets bigger and bigger and bigger every single season. It's great. But, and I have a really big but, at the same time, there's just a lot of bad stuff going on. Behind the scenes, it's an absolute crap show, and I don't know why I feel this way, but it seems like I'm the only one talking about it. Don't get me wrong, I love to do the preview videos, the recaps, and talk about the games, but this is also some important stuff. We're going to talk all about that in today's video. We got one other minor topic, and that includes, we're not going to talk about this too much because it's not really shocking news, another Georgia football player has been arrested. I wish I could sit up here and act like I'm shocked, but I'm not. We don't got a jam-packed video, but it should be a good one right or left. Strap in, buckle up, get you a snack, get you a popcorn, get your favorite meal you like to eat when you watch a video, because trust me, I do the same thing, but alright, man, blah, blah, shut the crap up. Not up for that, do. Let's get into it. Alright, first things first, let's get this out of the way. It's big time news, but I'm not going to spend too long talking about it because, like I said, it's not shocking news. Georgia wide receiver Colby Young was arrested earlier this morning. He got into what is being labeled as a quote-unquote dispute with his ex-girlfriend, and we know how those situations go. I'm not even going to try to overhype this. As to where it stands right now, it is a he said, she said. She's saying he did this. He's saying he didn't do that, and it goes on and on and on. So there's that, and here's what really matters. This wasn't some scrub-a-dub-dub for Georgia and Kirby Smart. This guy had 3 catches for 51 yards in their most recent game against Auburn. This is an ongoing investigation. If this turns out all this is true, goes on being said, terrible and awful look. You hate to see it, but I'm going to continue to say the same thing I said the last time we talked about a Georgia player getting arrested, which, ironically enough, wasn't too long ago. Some people are saying Georgia has a culture problem, and a lot of people are blaming this on Kirby Smart, which I don't really get. Kirby Smart isn't going out here and making these bonehead decisions. The only thing Kirby Smart can do, and he has done this, and I believe he will continue to do this, is tell him, hey guys, we have zero tolerance for off-the-field problems and issues. For anyone to blame Kirby Smart for another man's actions, I just strongly disagree with that. You can believe what you want, but let me give you a great example so you have a better perspective of what it would be like. This is the exact equivalent of your best friend getting a speeding ticket and everyone calling you and texting you and telling you how ashamed they are of you, just because you're his friend. You're his friend, that's on you. You should have stopped him from doing that. You got to teach him better. You see what I'm saying? Like, what are we doing? As to how people point the finger at Kirby Smart and blame him, just blows my mind. Let me ask you a question. Are you expecting Kirby Smart to babysit them on and off the field? We're not talking about a situation that happened in practice or on the field. No, this is when Colby Young was on his own time and free time. That's all I'm going to say about that. Moving along here to the main topic of Man on Core, the main reason you clicked onto this video. Man, oh man, what is going on in the college football world? All of this started last week, and I've been keeping up with this situation closely because I thought more of this would happen, and well, what do you know? It has. Not 1, not 2, but 3 players for UCF have decided to opt out of the season. These aren't guys that are injured. No, don't get it twisted. They're just opting out of the season because it's not going their way. It's not going how they expected, which is sad in its own right because when the tough gets going, that's when you really build character. Not just in college football, guys, but in this life, things aren't always going to go the way you expect them to go and the way you want them to go. So what are you going to do in the real world? Are you just going to say, I quit, I'm going to restart? It's not a video game. You can't do that. You just got to keep pushing. Anybody can show up when they're feeling great, but can you show up when you're feeling bad? That's what makes champions and winners. In college football, unfortunately, we are not building champions of life, and we are not building winners in this life. We are building guys who just, they want to quit when the tough gets going. I don't fault the players, though, because they're just playing the game. Like I said, hate the game, not the player. Can't emphasize that enough, and I will continue to say that all throughout this season. So that happened at UCF, and then a couple days later, Georgia Tech wide receiver, who was also a former Alabama wide receiver, Christian Leary, he enters the transfer portal. I guess he found out, like all those Alabama players that went to Florida State, and this is a different video for a different day, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. Very similar situation there, but hold on. Just like Lee Corso says, not so fast, my friend. An Alabama player did the same exact thing. Jaheim Oatis decided to opt out of the remainder of this season and enter the transfer portal due to lack of playing time. Let me make this clear. Am I mad at these said individuals? Absolutely not. You gotta do what's best for you, and I can respect that. But here's the big question. Will this be what's best for them? I don't know. I guess we're going to have to wait and see. And there's other guys that have done this, like the Matthew Sluka situation, and the list goes on and on, but these are some of the recent ones. And you can say what you want about Jaheim Oatis, Christian Leary, and all those other UCF players that opted out for the remainder of the season, but at the end of the day, they're quitters. Let's not try to overcomplicate it. That is what the definition of quitting is. They are quitting in the middle of the season. I couldn't imagine for myself starting something and not finishing it. I have too much respect for myself to do that. This is not why the transfer portal was implemented, and you got these players just straight up finessing the system because they have found this insane loophole. The transfer portal was implemented so if you weren't having a good season, you weren't playing as much as you wanted to, or you just want to straight up leave, you could do so when the season was over. To go along with that, this whole red shirt rule that was implemented, it was not designed for this, and what I'm referring to is this right here. For those of you who don't know, you can play in 4 or less games and still maintain a year of eligibility. It's like you didn't even play. They do that because sometimes you'll have second and third stringers who only appear in 2 or 3 games. They're barely even playing, and it's not really fair to them to burn a whole year eligibility when you're not even playing much. That's why that was implemented. It's not so guys could play in 4 complete games and go, okay, yeah, I'm done like Matthew Sluka, transfer elsewhere, and it's like you didn't even play. You keep that year eligibility, like I said. Well, now you got guys combining both of those, and it's creating chaos. What you got going on now is you got guys entering the transfer portal, they're testing out this new school, and if the team isn't winning or they're not playing a lot, they're going, oh yeah, this wasn't really worth it, so let me just redshirt for this year so I don't burn a year of eligibility. I don't know how fast you can implement a rule. I'm sure the NCAA has to have several meetings and whatnot. But if they're not already talking about changing this, they need to start because this isn't good. And just like this comment says right here, failed leadership by the NCAA. And I agree 100%. You can thank them for even making this possible. College football is out of control. We need contracts or something. These guys are getting paid and leaving 34 games in because they don't like the results. Quitting on the team, it's shameful. Commitment is not a thing anymore. I didn't even think about that part, like a player at Alabama where they have a bunch of NIL money. I'm sure Jaheim Oatis either A, got some care packages, had a sponsor, or B, was just getting straight up cash or something like that. The Alabama collective had to be giving him something, so what happens in that case and scenario? Does he just keep the money? I feel like if you leave 3 to 4 games in, you should have to pay it back. And here's how you fix this. It's as simple as this, and they need to make me commissioner or put me on the board or something, because I have all the solutions. Obviously, I don't have all the solutions, but I have a solution for this situation. If you have a player like these guys opt out in the middle of the season and they enter the portal, no, they lose that year of eligibility. So you can enter the portal, buddy, but that year, it's gone. You burnt it up. That's the only way to make it fair for everybody else, and I still don't even like the idea of it, but that's fair. Because it's real easy if you're on, let's just say, for the sake of this video, Florida State, if you're one of those players and you start out 1-3 to go, oh yeah, well, we're not going to compete for a championship this year, our team sucks, I might as well just opt out and sit out the remainder of this season so I don't burn my year eligibility. It's really easy to do that. However, there's a bunch of guys on that team that are grinding it out. They're fighting and they're working hard every single day. So why do they get penalized? It should actually be the other way around. The guys who stick it out for a sucky team should gain a year eligibility or not even lose that one they just played in. Also want to say this while I'm thinking about it. 98, and I believe this, 98 to 99% of these college football athletes, players, student athletes at that, they are hard workers and they're not quitters. But just like with anything, you have the 1% of it that's not so good. You got guys who are quitters. You got guys who are lazy. They don't want to put in the work and et cetera, et cetera. And I just don't like how they're being rewarded for quitting because I wouldn't even mind it if they burnt the year eligibility. But the fact they're getting to keep another year of eligibility is insane to me. We are quite literally rewarding quitters. It's ridiculous, and that's how I feel about it. I don't know why nobody else is talking about this, but I got to because I don't like it. And you want to know what I just thought of? I wonder what all these former college football players think about this. You know, back in the good old days, I'm obviously being sarcastic, it was only a few years ago where if things weren't going your way, you couldn't just hop into the transfer portal in the middle of the season. You had to grind it out. I remember 10 years ago, the news came out of players transferring. It was huge news. Now, It's just a Tuesday. College football players did not transfer because if you did, you were going to have to sit out an entire season, and they didn't want to do that. It's crazy how much the game has changed, and I guarantee you all the older college football players who didn't have the transfer portal, looking back on it, they're glad they didn't have it available to them because they know not having it, and some of them fighting through adversity, it turned them into the man they are today. I can already feel myself getting worked up, so before I do that, we'll end out the video here. I'm curious. Let me know your thoughts on all this down below. But,